Now, awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next post-debate interview here at Queensland Youth Parliament 2020. I'm joined by Lachlan Varley and Imogen Waters. How are you both doing today?
Well, thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, really good, really good. Thanks.
How are you both feeling after your latest debate? It's exciting after so many months of work to sort of, it all compiles into this one moment. So how are we both feeling?
Yeah, it was really great to be able to give our speeches and debate our bill. I started working on researching the bill like right at the start of the year and compiling it a few months ago. And having it all culminate in a really short session today was great. And it passed really smoothly as well. Our bill passed without many no's. I think there was one no. Which is really, really great. And we got some great feedback from our deputy speaker as well.
Yeah, I thought it went really well. Especially as like a member of the refuting subcommittee, sometimes you don't always know what the bill is going to look like. So it was really good over the last couple of weeks to see that come through, and again today see how passionate other members of the committee were about what they'd proposed and what ideas they'd have. So yeah, I thought it was really positive all around. Really good.
That's really fantastic to hear. Obviously we want this to be a positive experience, so I'm glad you both enjoyed it. And yeah, again, congratulations to the work of your committee. It's fantastic when a bill passes. And yeah, the debate was exciting and it was, yeah, fantastic to see. I'll start though. I should have started this from the beginning, but can I get both of you to discuss first off your name, your youth parliament position, and what it is you've done over the past few months in your subcommittee. What has your role been at youth parliament? I'll start with you, Lachlan.
Yeah, great. So yeah, my name is Lachlan. I'm the youth member for Ferny Grove this year, and part of the refuting subcommittee, their role is usually to make amendments to what the sponsoring bill was. And from the start, I think we've had this really great attitude that the bill as a whole was collaborative. So instead of trying to abjectly change parts of the sponsoring bill, it was more either papering over the cracks or adding things that we think that they've missed or some things that could be clearer or whatever. So it's been really fun to kind of explore that because you do your research, almost a two-stage process. So like sponsoring, you get a look at what the issue is and you have a look at some of the fixes. And when you see the bill come through in like August, late July and August, you get to read out what they've done and then you can compare it to sort of what you've picked out for change yourself. And then you can try and draw the lines and fill in the blanks if you think there are any. So that's been sort of our role as a subcommittee. It's been really, really rewarding. It's been difficult at times, particularly when you use, like we have other states' legislation as like sort of a model and a map. Sometimes it's a bit hard to get through all of that all the sometimes. But yeah, no, it's been really good. It's been really good to work with everyone else too. It's a big team effort.
Fantastic. And how about you, Imogen? What's your role at Youth Parliament this year?
So my name's Imogen Waters. I'm the youth member for Everton, and I am the committee co-chair for the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships Committee. And so that's on the sponsoring side. So what we did was prepare and write the bill before sending it off to the refuting subcommittee, like Lachlan said. So we all worked together to come up with what parts of existing legislation we wanted to make amendments to in order to try and reduce the number of Indigenous Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in our prison system. And yeah, it was also a really great process I was highly involved with the writing of the bill, which is something I've never had the experience to do before. I got to really go through all these existing bills and acts and see how they're written and to format it correctly, use the correct wording. It was really, really valuable.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's great to hear you both discuss this as a collaborative sort of project. Often we get so wrapped up in the debate of Parliament that it's hard to forget that it's easy to forget that this is designed to create the best bills possible. So no, it's really glad to hear that. My next question to both of you is about the parliamentary process. How have you found this whole process with QYP? I know, Lachlan, that you're coming back for a second year, but Have you both learnt a lot about how bills are created and how they pass through Parliament?
Yeah, definitely. I think with this year, the issue obviously was that we've had to move everything online, which is disappointing in a lot of ways, but I'm so grateful that the exec team has been able to work out a way to deliver us all of our training online and to let us have this 3-day residential sitting week over Zoom, so that we're able to learn just as much as we would in person. I feel like I've learned so much about Parliament history, the process and how bills are created as well. I believe we got all of that from our sessions, and it's been a really valuable experience despite not having this in person.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Um,
Yeah, and you, Lachlan?
I do agree. Obviously, coming back for a second time, you sort of get the ins and outs of it in part already. But I thought the response to how governments have been handling like the coronavirus pandemic and how what it means to sit and work remotely was a maybe an unexpected but certainly welcome sort of touch from the real world in a way. So that's been really interesting. And then again, yeah, I think parliamentary team have done a great job of like keeping us in the loop, explaining how it was all going to work and what the different changes and stuff were. So yeah, it's always a learning process. Great.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm glad that in some sense we've been able to convey the Parliament experience. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same, but we've tried to translate as many of those processes as we can. My next question is about the debate itself. I know that this was largely a very collaborative project and you both subcommittees came to a lot of agreement, but if you had to describe like one point of contention between the two subcommittees, what do you think that would be? I'll start with you, Imogen. Like, what was the debate centered around today?
We did not have much of a debate in our session. As you said, it was very collaborative. The amendments that were submitted by the refuting side largely just sought to, like what you said earlier, to fix up some things, make them more accessible, and ensure that our bill could be the best possible bill. I'm trying to think of if there was anything we largely disagreed on. And I pass over to Lockie to see if he thought of anything during reading our bill before creating the amendments, if there was anything
Yeah,
that stood
sure.
out.
Yeah, it was tough, I think, to find like a certain point of contention, but I think a lot of the spirit of the bill is about expanding freedoms in a way, not only physical, as in trying to get people away from potentially lives or years in prison, but also in the sense of communities being able to make decisions for themselves or uh, be able to sort of flourish in a way without necessarily hard impositions from the state government. So it was interesting to explore that. I think probably the main point of contention arising from that is on the refuting side, we were in favour of probably a slightly more expansive approach to that. We were willing to take things just that little bit extra further. I know one of them was there was this recommendation. The premise was a sentencing group, cultural sentencing group, could make recommendations to judges on what they considered an appropriate sentence. And we, on the refuting side, sort of had a look at that, had a look at other legislation across the country, and well, hang on, why not make it mandatory? And so I think it was really that sort of case of why don't we just hard code things into law that have made a difference, positive difference elsewhere, as just a step further towards that idea. So that was probably our one point of contention. Why go half measure in a way? But we're glad it all worked out.
It's really great to hear. Yeah, very, very interesting to see how the two sides sort of, again, it was largely collaborative, but it's interesting to see, yeah, the refuting side look to try to just push it that little bit further. So, yeah, very interesting. My final question for both of you is about, obviously, this is the youth parliament. It's focused on young people. Why do you think it's important that young people discuss this issue specifically? Why do you think it's important that this bill is discussed in the youth parliament as opposed to like the regular parliament? What is the youth focus of this bill? Do you want to start
Yeah,
us off, Lachlan?
I suppose, yeah. I suppose it is a bill topic that does, extend right into the adult world as well. But I think what's important as a youth bill is it's often identified that a lot of issues with individuals who go through the justice system and are either unable or find it very difficult to break free of it. It often starts very young. It starts with young offenders. Their financial situations are often poor. They don't necessarily maybe have the family support, or their family wasn't able to give them the support that they might have needed early. So I think it's great that as young people, we can, first of all, recognize that and then decide in the youth forum that say, well, hey, actually, this sort of isn't okay. But if we have a look at these factors along the way, bail conditions, what it means to be in a dry community, how sentencing for offences work. I think it's really great to be able to look at that, again, with sort of the perspective of a young person saying, well, these are people who are, 18 and 16 and 20-year-olds just like we are. And, they're looking down the barrel of potentially up to decades of involvement with the police and in prisons. So what changes can we make now that can prevent that from happening? Which is why I think it's really important and it's really powerful to be able to discuss that in a youth setting. It's how can we prevent harm to people that are really just like us?
Yeah, so like Lachlan said, while our youth bill sought to address reducing the rate of offending and recidivism in these communities, the number of youth, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander youth that are represented in the judicial system is extremely high. So our bill addresses these people, even though it does not specifically state conditions for only youth, by addressing the existing legislation and modifying certain aspects so that they're more accessible for all First Nations people. That also makes it more accessible for the youth in these communities. And the Queensland Youth Parliament is a great forum and experience to learn about so many issues in our local areas, in our state and in our country that we may not have known about at all. So while I was aware of many of these issues before I started, having spoken to other youth members in my committee who had experienced firsthand some of the conditions in these communities, I was able to really open my eyes and to truly understand the severity of these issues, and that youth as the next leaders, as the leaders of tomorrow, we have a role in understanding these issues and doing our best to advocate for them and to support them and to make changes.
It's a really great answer. Thank you. Yeah, as you said, being the young people of Queensland, trying to represent your constituency in the best way you can. I think that you've both done a fantastic job. You should be extremely proud. Your whole committee should be on passing a really interesting bill with a powerful message behind it and some really great propositions. So I want to thank the both of you for joining me today for an interview. Congratulations on your bill for a really fantastic debate, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at QYP.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.